Okay, so you have a feel for the Illustrator interface, getting around, we set some preferences, we created a workspace. How about zooming in and out and getting around inside your artwork? Well, it's very, very easy here inside Illustrator. I'm going to go way down to the bottom of my toolbox. I have a little magnifying glass tool there called my zoom tool. And what I could do with him is I could bring him over top of a piece of artwork and simply single click with him, and that will zoom me in on my artwork. Now, I can hold down Alt here on the Windows side or Option on the Mac, and notice that the plus sign in the middle of my zoom tool changes to a minus. So now I can zoom all the way out if I wish. Something else I can do with my zoom tool is, rather than single clicking, I could click and drag a box around an object and zoom right in on that piece of artwork if I want. Unfortunately, I can't click and drag while I zoom out, but I can certainly click and drag as I zoom in. Now, let me show you some keyboard shortcuts for working with your zoom tool. I'm going to hit the V key on my keyboard to take me back to my selection tool. And rather than actually clicking on the zoom tool, I guess I could hit the Z key on my keyboard to access my zoom tool, but I'd like to work even faster. So I'm going to hit the V key one more time. And instead of actually clicking on the tool in the toolbox, I want to temporarily access that zoom tool. How do I do it? Well, on the Windows side here, I'm going to hold down the Control key and the space bar, or on the Mac side, I would hold down Command and space bar, and notice what happens to my cursor. It changes to the zoom tool. As soon as I let go of the keys on my keyboard, I'm taken back to my selection tool. So, just Control spacebar or Command spacebar, and the same rules apply as before. Single click to zoom in, or click and drag to zoom in. Now, how do I zoom out? I can hold down Control spacebar and then also hold down Alt here on the Windows side, or Option on the Mac. Your hand may cramp up holding so many keys down, but that's the idea. It does take a little bit of coordination, but I have to be honest, this is one of those things I don't even think about anymore. It's on autopilot. I just drop my fingers onto the keyboard, zoom in, drop them back onto the keyboard, zoom out, that sort of thing. Double click on the zoom tool in the toolbox and that will zoom me all the way out to 100%. I can see my zoom percentage here down in the bottom left hand corner. I could even type in a percentage there if I wanted to. Instead, I'll go back to the black arrow tool in the toolbox, the selection tool, and I'm going to stick with my keyboard shortcuts, Control spacebar or Command spacebar, and don't forget Alt or Option in there as well. Alright, now what else can I do in terms of getting around inside my image? Well, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And then right next door to the zoom tool at the bottom of the toolbox, I have the hand tool. Now, what does this guy let me do? Well, I can actually click and drag with this guy inside my image if I want to navigate around. This would be the same as using the scroll bars, but he works a heck of a lot faster. And of course, this guy also comes with some keyboard shortcuts. Try this. I'm going to hit the V key one more time on my keyboard, back to that black arrow tool. And this time, either on the Mac or the PC side, I'm simply going to hold down the space bar. And that switches me to the hand tool. I can drag around as much as I want, let go of the space bar, and I'm back on the black arrow tool, that selection tool. Double click on the hand tool. That will fit my artboard into Illustrator's window. Here's yet another way to navigate around inside Illustrator if you like. I'm going to go to my window menu way up at the top and down to the Navigator palette. So I have a palette that will help me get around inside my artwork. He's called the Navigator palette. He's exactly the same as the Navigator palette inside Photoshop. So if you know about this palette from Photoshop, it's all the same stuff. I can grab this little slider here right down at the bottom of the palette and zoom in and zoom out on my artwork. Or what I could do is I could click on the little mountains to zoom out, or click on the big mountains to zoom in. Or, of course, I could type in a percentage here inside the zoom field. And this red frame that I see inside the thumbnail, inside the Navigator palette, try clicking and dragging on that guy. He'll let you get around inside your artwork. So there's a look at Illustrator's Navigator palette, and also zooming in and out on your artwork using the hand tool, and also using the zoom tool as well.